stumbles.
And fumbles. So we are on vacation in Oregon. We are visiting the shipwreck at Fort Stevens right now. We just arrived yesterday. We're staying in Seaside, Oregon. So we will video as much as we can and take you along with us on this trip. Stay tuned. So our first stop for the day was to see the shipwreck, the Peter Iredell. We had seen a video saying if you don't get here soon, this shipwreck may be totally gone in the near future. So while we're in the Fort Stevens area, we thought this should be our first stop. So while we were at Fort Stevens, we decided the best way to see the park was to start at the very top and then make our way back down. So our first stop at the top was the Wildlife Viewing Bunker. This area has pathways and this boardwalk to take you out to see the water and mud flats to view wildlife. So I was really looking forward to seeing some birds over the ridge here, especially when I saw that there were some mud flats. Stumble stayed behind and took a look at the bunker, hung up there for a few minutes while I walked over the ridge here to see if I could see anything. But I was disappointed to find that there was nothing out there. But if you know me, I like to walk down as close as I can get to make sure that I didn't miss anything. In the meantime, Stumbles walked over to the bunker to film pictures of the birds that are supposed to be here, but definitely were not. So our next stop was the jetty. It was so windy and cold this day, as you can tell by the waves hitting the rocks. There was construction going on in this area, so we really didn't get to do much, but walk on the jetty and take some video. So our next stop was the Battery Russell. When you pull into the parking lot, you have the opportunity to walk through this lower bunker. And if it wasn't for Stumbles going through each of these bunkers, none of this would have been caught on video, because I pretty much stayed on the outside, just wandering the property looking for things to photograph. If you take those stairs up to your left, you will get to the bigger bunkers. Throughout the 1930s, Battery Russell was the practice battery for the 249th Coast Artillery Regiment with the Oregon National Guard. It was only after Japan attacked Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, was Battery Russell manned on a regular basis. At about 11:30 p.m. on the night of June 21st, 1942, an Imperial Japanese Navy submarine surfaced just south of Fort Stevens and began firing shells in the direction of the fort. Soldiers scrambled out of bed and raced to their posts. They located the submarine by its gun flashes, but were told to hold fire. It's unclear why the order was given. We can only speculate. Perhaps those on Fire Control Hill thought the sub was beyond the reach of the guns or the harbor defense commander may have wanted to avoid revealing the precise location of the fort and the extent of its arsenal. Fortunately, the shells landed harmlessly in a swamp and in the beach areas, although several did hit near Battery Russell. After 40 years of protecting the harbor, Battery Russell fired its last shells on December 1944 in a closing ceremony as it was replaced by the more modern Battery 245 to the northeast. That shot also marked the last time that type of rifle was fired in the U.S. So we've now moved on to the second set of bunkers. These bunkers are chained off, so you can't just walk through each individual room. You have to get your views from either below or above the actual structure. So our last stop for the day was Astoria. We didn't really have any big plans for Astoria. There were two things we had on our list. The first one was to eat at a popular restaurant, or actually a little food vendor, and to drive across the bridge from Oregon to Washington. Other than that, we were just playing it by ear. So next up, it was time for lunch, and we'd heard if you're ever in Astoria, to make a stop at the Bow Picker. It only serves fish and chips, and it's cash only, and the lines can get long, but we were really lucky because our wait time from start to finish was only 10 minutes. The food was delicious, and there isn't any seating, so you either have to eat in your car or just sit on the sidewalk somewhere. So our last thing to do on our list was drive across the bridge from Oregon to Washington, turn around, and come back. We had a wonderful day, and thank you so much for watching. Take care.